I'm not sure. I just know that we're getting short anyway, and people are struggling.
For now.
Grab more.
I'm not.
We had to fight this together. Here.
Invocation. Is everybody here that wants to do invocation? We ask for your wisdom as we begin this meeting. We acknowledge that we need your wisdom and insight, and we welcome your presence among us. Guide us in our discussions and decisions, helping us to see what is best for all involved. We trust in your perfect wisdom and ask for your direct our meetings according to your will. We pledge allegiance.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
At this time, anyone will be allowed to speak for a length of time not to exceed 4 minutes. No board discussion or action may take place on a matter until such matter has been placed on an agenda and posted in accordance with law. Texas Government Code Section 551042. We have, first up is Christopher Upton. If you take the podium and state your name and address, please.
First and foremost, my name is Christopher Upton. I am here on behalf of the WIS, speaking as the president of the association. So thank you, board members, for having us. Another deal, just real quick, is my hearing is a little bad, so the microphones ain't quite on. And in big rooms, it gets a lot worse, so I'll probably speak a little loud. So forgive me if I get a little loud. But anyhow, so I want to start by stating the purpose of our association. The purpose of our association is pretty simple. It's to give the kids of this community an opportunity, another opportunity. The parents of this community, another opportunity. For our local kids to be able to have the opportunity to play on the local fields is a pretty big deal. Now, with that being said, that doesn't mean that no Whitney kid at all is going to play on the local field if we don't. That's not the intention of my statement. The intention of my statement is simple, by saying, hey, look, if a child lives in Whitney, whether they can play for one association or another, that should be irrelevant for a child being able to have the opportunity to play on a local field in front of their community. You know, a lot goes with that. So, with that being said, that's what our focus is. Our main focus is a fundamentally driven program that gives community kids and community parents a different type of access or a different type of opportunity that may, however, help their family and their scheduling and their routine and their daily lives in a sense that, you know, another opportunity may not. So I'd like to begin with going through a little bit of the history of the fields and the usage. From 2021, I believe it was, all the way up to 2024, there were a total of 20 plus rec teams that used that field. There was a total, also 8 plus local select teams that used that field. There was also a total of 2 out of towns that used that field during the same time. And so from my understanding, whenever they were using that field, or those fields, there was very minimal practice scheduling conflict, very minimal. As a matter of fact, there was absolutely zero game scheduling conflict, you know? So for the request that we have for the field usage, it is almost bare minimal. I feel like it should be almost effortless to, you know, find a way to make it happen for all the children involved and parents involved. Let's see, at this time, I would like to go in and do our request. Some of our request has changed. It is on the paper. However, we have had a couple of changes on the request side of it for flexibility purposes. That way, everybody involved, regardless of any situation, association that you're in, regardless who's involved, there is flexibility that can be used to help everybody. You know, so at this time, one of the requests that we were looking at, it is on the agenda, but however, another one is for a Tuesday and Friday usage. We broke down the field counts by number, based off how many fields there are, given the time that's given, available time from say like availability after school hours, and then all the way up to when it gets basically too late or too dark. And based off that, we've come up with, there are technically 103 availability slots available for whether it would be a game and or a practice. There's 130. That includes all 5 fields over at the city park. So I understand that from a lot of the research that I've been doing, I understand that Pony League doesn't play.
Time's up. Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Next up, we have the Ghost Fest. Thank you. Next up, we have Rita Bishop.
Someone leave their phone over here?
No, it's recording the meeting.
All right, Rita Bishop, the only thing I put on my form was just a conflict of interest, that on some of these particular items, board members that are sitting there have they have a direct impact for the outcome of items 11, 12, and 13. Because they both sit on the board. There's 2, to my knowledge, that sit on the board, and if they don't, they also filed the permit for the other board. So I would think that there's a conflict of interest for 2 board members to have any vote or discussion or anything regarding items 11, 12, and 13. And that's all. Thank you.
We move into our regular agenda, line item 6, introduction of park board members, mayor or mayor's designee, and city staff liaison. We have down here our city staff liaison.
Hello, everybody. Chris Brennan.
Chris Brennan, I'm Mayor Janice Sanders.
I'm Kevin Bergen.
Rico Ferrer.
Sandy May.
Stefania Shelby. Line item 7, overview of park advisory board authority and role.
Mayor, I'm gonna help facilitate this first meeting from a city administrator standpoint and city administrative standpoint. past this meeting, this will all be in the hands of the park board to handle. But this first meeting, we wanted to kind of help facilitate how it would go. In the ordinance, in the packet that you received, you should have seen the ordinance that kind of goes over what the parks board's role is. The park board serves as an advisory capacity to the city council. No decisions can be made by the park board. The purpose of the park board is to kind of come up with ideas, come up with suggestions, and then relay that to the council for the council to then take action on. Hope that makes sense. There was a lot of confusion in the community about kind of that role. This is an appointed board by the council. So with that being said, are there any questions from the board to the city as to in what capacity, or is there everybody square on that?
In the event of a tie,
That's gonna be a challenge tonight, because the mayor's not a voting member, I don't guess, in this role, since it was unappointed. So tonight, there may be a problem with that. The appointed member of the city is not,
I don't know
a
if you have
voting
a
member.
course of action for that or not.
Hopefully we don't have one.
Robert's rules,
Yeah.
a tie vote fails.
Yeah, we'd have to go with that. Questions? No? Okay, Aaron?
Line item A, deliberate and act on the election of chair, vice chair, secretary of the park board.
Again, board, this is something that you will need to do. Unfortunately, board member Sneed was not able to make it tonight because it's a Wednesday and he's a church pastor for a youth group, so that's why he's not here tonight. Unfortunately, with us having to reschedule last week with the ice and everything, and us, this is just the quickest we could get this on the board. We wanted to get this youth agreement squared away as quick as possible. One of the things that you'll need to do is obviously appoint a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary. It's important to know that how those roles are going to look going forward. There are no bylaws for this board yet. That's something you'll have to have done very quickly, so you know your rules of order and how that should go as a board. The city's not going to have those for you. The second thing would be whoever is elected to the secretary position would be responsible for coordinating, keeping minutes, and calling the meetings, posting the meetings, and all that. So with that, it's kind of on you guys to determine how you want that to look.
That's self-explanatory. What does the chair and the vice chair do?
Chair is over the meeting, executes the meeting, would essentially be
Like
what the mayor does at the meeting. The vice chair would be basically in the mayor pro tem role. If the chair was not here, the vice chair would have to be able to step into that role.
And how often do we meet?
It's up to the board.
And do we have to meet in conjunction with the city council
Nope.
or permission or post it
Board is
publicly
its own entity. It will have to be a public posted meeting.
before,
Yes.
like a week?
3 days.
You have to have 3
And we
business
have
days.
it here
before.
with the public invited?
Yes, it has to be a
Okay.
public meeting. So that's something I should have mentioned in the rules, and, you need to all take the Open Meetings Act training, given by the, Texas Attorney General. It's free training, so that way you understand the rules of what an open meeting is, what it is not, and what's allowed in open meetings and what is not. So that's something you'll need to do within the first 90 days.
Is that, online?
Yes, it's online and it's free.
Okay.
1 hour class.
Thank you. So board, what is your pleasure? Somebody wanna make a motion to elect the chair?
I'd like to make a motion to vote Rigo as president of the board,
Chair.
to be chair, yes.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Vice chair?
I'll make a motion to make Jason Sneed vice chair.
A second.
Heard it.
Would you please, Mayor, restate the chair, vice chair, and secretary for the record?
You want me to say who nominated him?
No,
Okay.
who's
Kevin
elected?
Greenfield will be your elected chair. Jason.
No.
Rigo.
Rigo, yeah, right there, it's right there. Rigo will be your chair, Jason will be the vice chair, and Stephanie will be your secretary.
Check.
On item 9, discussion on existing park assets, property issues, and identification of additional park priorities.
Board, I wanted to go over what property the city currently owns. I put those in your packet. I also have a visual representation up on the TV screen for the crowd and who are those that are watching on the live stream. Chris will be able to, Chris as the Public Works Director is over the Parks Department, so he'll have a lot more insight as to what's going on with the actual parks, but kind of give you an idea of what we have that could be parks or what are already built or kind of laid out as parks. The first piece of paper you have in your packets, which is up on the screen, this is the tennis court that is on Cleveland Avenue. And I say tennis court because that's what it used to be. It doesn't have to be, but what in the deed that in this that we were given, it has to remain a Parks and Recreation. It cannot be anything else. So just know that however the board advises the council, as long as it fits into that Parks and Rec category, the deed stays with the city. If it ever changes from any of that, it reverts back to the Corps of Engineers.
Is that the area where they were talking about doing the Michael Park aside?
Yes. Okay, so let me zoom out right here so you get a better idea of where this is.
Just a quick question.
Yes.
Those numbers that are on there, if we pull it up in Hellcat, will it correlate?
Yes, those are the property ID numbers, yes, sir. All right, so here, this is Cleveland Avenue going towards the park. If you're going left to right here, this is one little piece of property where there's the concrete picnic bench headed into the park. It's on your right-hand side before you turn on Peverly Street. That is something the city owns. So this is also a piece that the city owns. This is where it used to be the football practice field or soccer field or whatever. You'll notice that there is a little piece of property on the front of that, 107665, I believe is that number. The city does not own that piece of property. We have tried to get into contact with the folks that do own that land to see about trying to even purchase it. That's been a hard no-go. So they're absolutely not interested in having that conversation. This is going right into the park. So it already has lights on the field. There's already irrigation there. And again, it used to be a practice field for football a long while back. This is on the flip side of that field. So the city owns this one little piece of property in the front, but none of the rest. And unfortunately, all of that other property was just sold at a sheriff's sale at the courthouse steps, and somebody bought all of it. So Mayor and I had actually been working for a long time to try to acquire that land because it goes back to the actual platting of the property in the estate. And so unfortunately, somebody purchased that property. We're hoping that they will get in contact with the city and we can work something out, because what a great piece of property to expand that park.
It's a lot bigger on the map than it is.
Is that still core land too, right there?
It is not. And here is the actual park. Now, That, the city owns, what you see there. That is not core land. So, to the best of my ability, however, it is still in the core flowage easement area. So, this is what puts restrictions on what we can and cannot do. We do have annual inspections at the park by the Corps. Chris has one coming up, I think, in March. So, that's just to say, keep that in your considerations.
So does the Corps own the two red ones?
Yes.
Who owns the old roads?
I'm sorry?
Who owns the old roads?
The city. Yeah. I cannot make out this number. If you see this next one that's in your file, this one, I'll just move this map. It'll be easier that way, quicker. I don't know the actual PID. Can't make it out, it's too small. This piece of land is over behind the storage buildings on Polk Street. We actually had this piece of property up for sale. Well, as a city, we can't sell land. We have to put it up for auction or bids. We did not receive any bids on this. There was some discussion about potentially turning this into a picnic area. If I can get this to work. 395. Yeah, that's it. So the city owns this piece of property here. This being 22 over here. This is the vet clinic, storage. So this little piece of property here.
Can y'all hold it down while we have a meeting, please?
This would be a good opportunity to do something with little park benches, like picnic area, something along those lines. This is the Veterans Memorial. City owns that property. They had worked out a deal a while back, 10 so years ago, with Operation Greater Love to build that. It is still city property. Public Works maintains the property now. I think that there's a great opportunity there to expand that part, as the city also owns this piece right below it, where this hand is. That's the very next one on your next page. That piece right there. So it goes right to the creek. This piece of property here we own as well. This is where Public Works is. So this is all public property. Now the one everybody's been waiting for. You know we always say. Cato Drug Building. We have that building. This is going to probably need to be something that the park board addresses pretty quick, because we need to do something with turning it into a community center. That's kind of the direction that the council decided they wanted to go with this. Because it is a public building, commercial building downtown, it falls into the rules for the state that requires an asbestos survey before anything can be done. The city has already done that. Asbestos survey is included in your packet, I believe. If it's not, I'll be happy to get it to you. But we do have to move on getting asbestos mitigation done really quickly before anything can be done. I think I even included a quote that we received to have that mitigated in your packet. So
I saw that. Did you get any other quotes?
that was a hard enough one to find there. We were not able to find a lot of companies. If you guys know more, that's what we're asking you guys to help us do.
I read through the packet and I didn't see where they the amount of square footage, or if they're pulling that up in Hillhead,
Yeah.
kind of give them an idea what we, size-wise, what they were looking to make.
Pretty much the entire floor. Yeah, is
Well,
what that
if
is.
we're there, it's the Campbell building and then the building next door.
Yeah, so it's,
So it's two different buildings.
Right.
So this is the only estimate we got?
that's correct.
If you had gotten other estimates, we'd be able to say, hey, here's what we had the others bid on, the other group,
And,
to stay consistent.
and again, if you know somebody that can do it, and we'll be happy to get those, but that's what we're looking for recommendations from the council, or from the board to do with the council, is, we had, the guy that did the asbestos survey cannot do the abatement, so they have to be separate by law. So we also, included in this abatement quote, it does not, cover air monitoring or any of that. That's something else that has to be done separately. So, again, that's kind of where we are, is council wanted to kind of wait until the board was up and running to find out if you guys had better avenues to go through and find other companies to get this. Included pictures that we have of the inside of the building. You can see it is in disrepair, and it needs to be addressed pretty ricky tick. So,
Yeah, something of this level, I think needs at least two estimates, if not three.
again, if you know people, get an estimate. We had trouble finding one, so.
Well, I'd be happy to research and find some others. 'Cause that's a lot of money.
And that is what we have as far as the property.
Line item 10, deliberate and possible action on potential event commemorating the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence and the 150th anniversary of the founding of the city of Whitney. Any thoughts, ideas?
Was there something that we're supposed to vote on, or we're asking suggestions of activities?
Was there anything in your packet?
It just says, no, I don't
Okay.
see anything
So-
other
What have they
than
done historically?
Okay, okay, I don't have it either, so I didn't.
yeah, no, it's just on the agenda, if there's
Okay,
something.
so this is the anniversary of the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. That's happening all across everywhere with celebrations, 4th of July celebrations and all that kind of stuff. So if y'all want to take action and do something like that and have a celebration along, you're gonna have to be along with, but the 150th anniversary of the founding of the city of Whitney also, if you wanna combine the two, if you don't wanna combine the two, if you wanna have an event,
When is the 150th, that will,
you can do it this is the year.
so it's this year at some point, then?
Yeah,
Mayor, if I may.
sure.
Board members, so I think that at one of our council meetings, we had a citizen bring to the council the idea of potentially doing something, and I believe there's flyers that are kind of on the table there, if you wanted to pass those around. I think that kind of gives an idea of maybe some other areas that are doing something similar. The state of Texas has been planning the 250th commemoration of the signing of the Declaration of Independence for some time. So there's ideas there. The idea to bring it to you tonight is to decide as a park and recreation board, is this something that you guys want to pursue? How it's gonna be facilitated in that? So going forward, that's gonna be kind of how we would hope that that works out, is these kind of events come through the board with recommendation to the council. So with it also being the 150th anniversary of the city of Whitney, we thought it would be a good idea to propose tying the two events together. However, it's up to the board how they recommend to the council what to do. So that's kind of what that is. We also had a citizen, I believe, reach out about the commemoration of this event, the signing of the Declaration of Independence, about putting flags out throughout the city. I think, I was not at that meeting, so if I'm out of turn, please correct me, but I think they even said something about purchasing the flags. Of course, military flags at night have to have their own light source, so, something to keep in consideration there, but, it's kind of up to the board if this is something you guys want to pursue, put your heads together on what you want to do, making a recommendation to the city council, if you guys want to organize it, put it together, that's kind of what we're bringing to the board to ask.
So this falls under the park board to do something like this, and do we have a budget?
There is no budget for the board itself. The city does allow every year, downtown events in the budget. So that's kind of what we use to do things like that.
So we would make a recommendation of an event and the details of that event, but we present it to the city council and then the city pays for it, because we
Correct.
don't have a budget.
The board does
Other
not have a
than
budget.
repairs of the field and the,
And again, the board, any funding, expenditures, anything will be done by the council. The board has no authority for expenditures. So it's all recommendation to the council for the council to make those expenditures.
And how much of a notice, so let's say we all agree that we wanna do something for July. Like, when would be a good time to take it to the council to move forward with it?
I think we have it on the
Next
agenda
month, or-
for discussion tomorrow. I can't remember if we have it on there or not. I don't remember, I honestly don't remember if it's on
I
there.
don't remember seeing it on tomorrow, but.
So that'd be the board's decision on how you would like to handle that.
so we would make a suggestion and we would be responsible for running it?
Coordinating it, yes. I don't know, is it on the agenda?
I don't know.
I don't have them on agenda.
Okay, so there you go.
It's
Okay,
not on the
table
agenda?
this for the next
Okay,
meeting.
good.
Yeah.
If we can all kind of know what's going on. Can I make a motion to table it to the next board meeting?
Second.
Aye.
Okay, we have a motion from Kevin to table this till the next meeting, a second by Sandy. All those in favor? Motion carries. I didn't think, now that we have the chair can be doing this.
We go.
Thank you.
We're now at 11.
Thought this was gonna be easy.
Are you just gonna get to sit there?
Moving on to number 11. Discussion and possible action regarding a recommendation to the city council concerning park facility use by the youth sports leagues, including the deliberation, and action on existing facility use agreements, Whitney Wildcat Football League, and potential use by additional leagues.
So the council wanted to bring this to the board for recommendation. This was on the council's agenda last month for them to take action on. The WWFL has an agreement on, don't guess it made it into your packets. I'm trying to pull it up right here in case you have questions. The agreement expired on the 31st of January. Let me see if this is it. Oh, that's the agenda briefing. Forgive me. 2 years ago, the city entered into facility use agreements with, at that point, it was WYA, Whitney Youth Association, because there had never been an agreement between the city and the youth organizations as to whose roles were what and how that was gonna be delineated. It was just kind of, the city's not, the youth's not, so we came to the table, we negotiated a facility use agreement, and one of those items in that agreement was that the youth association would have priority use of said fields. So what does that mean? If they have a practice or a game or something scheduled, they had priority use. Now, the reason it's come to now is now we have two associations. So the council was looking to the board for a recommendation on how to proceed with that.
To the best of my knowledge, was city council want to make a decision on renewing WWFL at this meeting, since we got knocked out by the weather?
They will be making one tomorrow. Unless the park board does not make a recommendation to council. Again, that's your.
And based on that, I believe the agreement was that if there was a second group, WYA, right?
Everybody else.
WYS, I'm
This
sorry.
one, in our packet.
They would have to produce a 501(c) permit and have insurance. I believe the insurance is $1 million, correct?
I can pull it up right
According to the agreement
So,
with the Army Corps of Engineers, and that should carry forth every sub.
the
You sub it
agreement,
out too.
general liability of $1 million per occurrence, $2 million aggregate for bodily injury, workers' comp, statutory, employer liability, $1 million, so yes. $1 million.
And I wanna see the kids succeed in this too, and I feel that we're behind the curve taking on a second group, but giving them the opportunity to come up with a 501(c), like they said they would, what's required, and the insurance. That would have to be produced tomorrow, correct? And tomorrow,
Today, so we can make a recommendation.
or tomorrow?
So the council, again, will not take action unless the board makes a recommendation, so it's up to the board how you want to handle
Okay. I'm
that.
just going by the last meeting.
Sure.
Remember, and in addition to that, they would also have to produce a board of all the folks that are on their board, correct?
So in the terms of the required documents, it is the association must be a 501(c)(3) organization and in good standing with the IRS. The association must have an active board of directors, including a president or chairperson, vice president, secretary, or treasurer, or executive board of directors. Members of the association board of directors must meet the residency requirements contained in the association's bylaws.
So I'm assuming the one that the city's had the contract with for the last 2 years has all of that?
Yes.
It's been verified. So our recommendation would be to renew that contract or leave it open for the other one to produce all the recommended things? And then would it be a either or contract or a combined contract?
So if the agreement as written would be explicitly with the WWFL.
So there's only one contract with one group.
The hang up with the agreement is it gives priority use to that group.
Okay, so if the other one came up with all the proper documents and requirements, then it would have to be up to us to say which one gets a contract with the city?
Or it can be both. We can have the contract written where both these associations come to an agreement on usage and maintenance and everything.
Is Chris,
But the
Chris president, right? Is he prepared to present all this? I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Do you have all those documents?
We have the documents that were requested,
The
ready to be provided.
501(c)
Yes, sir.
The board and.
and the insurance?
We do have insurance.
Is it 501(c)(3)
Sorry?
posted on the IRS website?
I'm sorry.
Is it posted on the IRS website?
Let's see, Amanda,
So
is that what this one is? That's what that one? Is that what that?
No, that's just.
Okay.
So, we are showing up on this, Secretary of State as an incorporated nonprofit as of right now. It has not popped up on IRS's website. But everything has been filed, completed, paid for. They've received all their documents.
So even according to their own standards, even according to their own standards, it states that in theirs that whenever an organization files for it, it retro dates back to being accurate for the day of submission. So we have it all submitted and everything.
But you don't actually have it.
I'm sorry.
But you don't actually have it.
Well, according to their standards, that whenever it's submitted, it gets retro dated back. So once they,
Y'all have a number? That's what I think she's asking for.
Yes, they have your check.
yes, we had to text that, yes, sir. We have it all, we got everything, pretty much ready to rock and roll.
And as far as insurance, it's official for the city
And
council.
then we do have the,
That meets, satisfies that need.
And Chris, I believe you have your board members present here today.
yes, ma'am, and I do have board members, including myself.
And the recommendation would be for an additional 2 years.
So we do this annually. The terms of this agreement would run from January 31st, 2026 through February 1st, 2027. Again, if the board so made a recommendation to the council to change that term, that's up to, again, it's however the park board makes the recommendation to the council.
So is it my understanding from your speech that your group has talked to the other group about field usage?
I reached out to Mr. Threadgill, the president of the other association, and, we've had some small discussions. We never really put anything, down in concrete per se, but, we have made some small suggestions. I wanna say mainly just maintenance, really, trying to hash it out, before we come up to the big presentation, but, when I did talk to Mr. Threadgill about the usage, the field usage, he kind of had, he was pretty clear of what he was wanting to shoot for, and I just pitched what we were kind of asking for at that moment. We never did. I'm sorry.
Which is, what are
The original pitch that I had presented was the Tuesday and Thursday usage, and then also on, I believe it was Wednesday, have just a 2-field usage rather than the entire facility, and that was just simply for makeup games. However, I did mention flexibility, and so there is room for flexibility in the event that makes something a little bit too congested for the kids and the associations involved.
So you're asking for the entire park?
I apologize.
So you're asking for the entire park
On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we were trying to get pretty much the entire park to cover games strictly. Because the benefit of the association that we're in is we get to block out dates that we're per se not available. And so if we block out all the dates that we don't ask for, then our games will strictly be on the days that we were available. And so it would help eliminate any scheduling conflict for games, for sure.
So how many teams do you have?
Sorry,
How many teams does WYS have as of right now?
I apologize.
How many teams?
Do we have, right now, we are looking at, so right now we have 83 signed, so, based off that number we're looking at, I'm gonna say 6 to 7 teams for sure, so, utilizing that, based off of those numbers is kind of how we came up with, the usage that we would require, which is very minimal compared to the availability of the fields. You know, there's a lot of give in our side to try to make it as convenient as possible, you know, because there is enough availability in field usage to go around for the entire.
Are those 100% May teams right now, or numbers close enough to, so y'all have more than 9 on those teams?
I'm sorry.
You have more than 9 sign up on those 67 teams, or is that what are projected?
Let's see.
Six would have over
Yeah,
9.
Over 9.
Yeah, and actually, I've spoken with Mr. Greg Gill about any event that, we get closer to the end of the close dates and that we don't have enough kids to make a set team. I did, however, talk to Mr. Greg Gill and say, hey, look, you know, the point is giving kids the opportunity and keeping it all local and such. And so therefore, I would definitely be going to Mr. Greg Gill saying, hey, where can we work on these numbers? Here's what I got that we probably won't make a team in this age group. Is that going to be able to do something for you guys? You know what I mean? And let them stay as local as possible before they go into a pool or go off to a different city or whatever other options were available.
Zach, and counting y'all's developmental,
Sorry?
how many can you give me a breakdown of your teams?
Well, sorry.
He asked you if that was counting developmental.
Yes, developmental is included in those numbers.
Can you give me the numbers?
Yeah, and
How
so,
many groups y'all make?
when it comes to the breakdown of the teams, we're pretty close on most age groups. And so the ones that we are not close on, I will reach out to the other association and gladly work together with them to make sure that.
You also said y'all made
get
16.
involved. I'm sorry.
Y'all
Yes.
made 6 teams right now, right?
Yes.
What age groups are those 6 teams?
Let's see, we got the 12U girls, right, softball. We've got 14U boys.
Developmental,
Who started, boys?
so developmental, 1 team, then you have 8U boys, 10U boys, 14U boys, 8U girls, 12U girls.
And those are made
Those
teams.
are 100.
And then, and the remainder of the kids that are not on those rosters are really tight, you know, to possibly, in some instances, even 3 kids away from creating a team for that age group, you know? And again, if they don't make that team, that's when we'll gladly reach out to Mr. Greg Gill and his association and say, hey, guys, look, man, we got some kids here that we really want to keep local, so before they go off somewhere, hey, let's get them signed up however we can. Or even in the event, you know, on the other side of that token, in the interest of, say, fairness for the city involved, maybe there's even a age group that you guys don't have 2 or 3 kids that are signed up in it that could possibly come this way when we're only missing 2. You know, however we get these kids to play, that's the goal, right? So. Any other questions?
Yeah, I had a question for you.
Yes, sir.
What was the date of your application for the 501(c)(3)?
Do you have that thing?
Where?
Actually, I can get that for you. It'll take her just a quick second to bring that information up. Who was it? Somebody else was gonna ask a question while she's looking at it. Yes, ma'am.
What is the purpose of creating a new, ball association?
Well, a lot of it just had to do with the opportunities that were presented. A lot of I'm not gonna say a lot, because I don't want to speak for a general type deal, but there were parents that were, schedule stricken, you know, and some of it was even a monetary issue, some of it was even a financial issue, you know, and with no disregards to any other association, sometimes it's just the simple things that create these, opportunities. And so those are some of the simple things that created it. And then when it was presented to me as an opportunity, I took upon it and was going to give it my all. I have ran a baseball program before, and it was a systematically, fundamentally built program. It was nothing that I came up with or that the coaches came up with. It's a program that you get. It's all online. It's Cal Ripken Youth Baseball, and it's a step-by-step. It literally gives you the schedule you have to follow. And I've had great success out of it as far as fundamentally built children and their skills. So it's a really good deal. We'll also be able to do a lot of different things in most associations, what we're used to seeing. When you run a fundamentally built program, again, it eliminates a lot of that. Well, this worked for me in college, or this worked for me and when my dad taught me, it eliminates a lot of that, and it creates a structured program that these kids, once they get into at a young age, and they get structurally built in the same program for 6 years, then you're starting to get these select and elite league players out of it. And again, it's all online. It's nothing I made up. It's nothing that I put out there on my own. It's all there. Cal Ripken, he's what they consider the Iron Man of baseball. He's played more professional baseball games than any recorded person. You know, so, and he's been doing this youth program for years now, and it's been critiqued and perfected. And so, I've used it before and loved the results. The parents loved the results. And that's why it was created. All the different opportunities came together as one, and it just kind of boosted off from there. That was it. I don't know how it got directed into a division thing, because I, myself, and everybody here in the room has all seen how it's been a divisive piece, and it was never meant for division. It was actually meant for the opportunities presented that could be fulfilled. That's simply put. You know, I have no drive in me but to get these kids into a program. So that program, it is also used at some of these training facilities. These training facilities at DBATs and all these other places where people are taking their kids, paying by the hour, it's the exact same program. This was something for me to be able to bring some really good skilled training in, and again, not that anybody else is doing less skilled training. This was an opportunity for me to bring it in, get it installed, get this system growing, and building these players. And so I took advantage of the opportunity to do it with no ill regards in mind.
So my next question is.
Yes, ma'am.
If, you say there's no division.
Yes, ma'am.
There's no problems with our kids, your kids, if we need to fill a team, we can fill a team.
Correct.
Why do you feel like there's a need for you to have a contract?
It's just.
And not work with the WWF?
It mainly, the only part of the contract that we were requesting for was just strictly for game day purpose. Yes, in that same days, if we can get a practice in two or practices in there also, we can. But it was based strictly off game day availability. And again, out of all the availability, I broke it down, there's 130 opportunities for games to be played. Out of that 130 opportunities, we requested 30. And so I felt that, you know, that was pretty much the bare minimum. A lot also comes with this. For example, there was mentions at one time about what about the concession stand, not of all the stuff in it. We've eliminated the concession stand. We can eliminate that entire conflict by not even using the concession stands, you know, to help. But however, we will volunteer to help clean it up to get the opening day presentation beautiful for all involved, not just our association, you know. I've reached out to Mr. Greggill a couple times and tried to get up a plan to get fields perfect. I have all the equipment, have all the labor ready to go. And even in the event that, say something fell down and it just didn't happen for us, I'm still going out there to do it because it's for the kids. You know, so I think this is a good opportunity, a great opportunity for growth. And not only just for our children, but even in our community. That's a lot of opportunity for people to come in and help, work together. So
Well, I appreciate that, you still haven't answered.
I'm
my
sorry?
question. I said I appreciate that, you still haven't answered my question.
Yes, ma'am, I apologize.
My question was, if you're willing to work with the WWFL, why do you feel like there's a need to have a separate contract?
Just to almost solidify and guarantee that we have the usage of the field that's required. That's the minimum necessity requirement for the association to definitely move forward. That was it.
What other practice facilities do y'all have?
I apologize.
What other practice facilities do y'all have?
So right now, we've been in talks with a local select team about getting a usage of the facility for like indoor batting practices. They have the nets and a whole setup, and so I've been reaching out to the local select teams to see about getting in a facility to try to get a practice day there, which would also help with eliminating requiring more out of the 130 available slots that would eliminate us having to try to require more of that, or obtain more of that, to try to make it easy, you know?
Who is on y'all's board?
I apologize.
Who's on y'all's board?
Myself, it would be myself, Stepnia, and then,
What position was
Ms.
that on
Bush
y'all?
and Michelle.
What's the title of the on your hold?
Sorry.
The title?
Let's see, what do we got on top? Secretary, we've got the, hold on, I've got it here, I got it in my notes. Just tell me, what was it? The VP, and then our treasurer.
You are?
Who's the
Sorry.
VP?
I'm VP Amanda Bush. Michelle Nolan is our
I
treasurer.
have it in my notes, but I've got so many in my hand at one time.
Michelle, let's do it.
Michelle Nolan is our treasurer.
And that's just for?
Yep, for now I'm grown. Yes, sir.
What is y'all plan as far as the getting the fields ready? I'm not saying as far as getting ready, let's see how I word this. What y'all's plan for bases, chalk equipment, mounds, all that stuff? So that is all currently owned by.
Well, in worst case scenario, obtain them, just go buy them, you know. But best case scenario, talk with the association that's currently there, the WWFL, and just work out what works best for the kids. I've reached out on a couple occasions to yourself, Mr. Dirk Gill, and said, hey, look, I've got 2 machines loaded on trailers right now. You want to go out there and get this dirt turned, you know? But I think we deemed together that it was just a little too wet for that. And so we kind of put that off. I've also reached out about power washing the dugouts.
I'm not talking about that part, I mean, when you.
But when it comes to bases and all that, I mean, buy them if that's worst case scenario, but I feel the community's tied enough, and honestly, I feel that, the presidents amongst both associations are more than capable of, coming up to what's best for the kids.
So this is me speaking as the president now of our association. At the end of the day, this is what pretty much it boils down to with our decision on the board. Is the way the current contract currently states is we get first priority, doesn't mean that we get it all the time. I feel like there needs to be, somebody needs to have first priority, because at that point, it forces the two boards to communicate to each other. Without that first priority set by whoever, either league, there is no way to work out a schedule, because right now they're currently stating that they want it on Tuesdays and Thursdays, the whole park. Our numbers, we're currently going to be sitting at 13 teams as of right now. We will make 2 6U teams, 1 8U team, 2 10U teams, 1 12U teams, and that's all girls. Boys is 1 6U team, 2 8U teams, 2 10U teams, 1 12U and 1 14U boys. So we're currently sitting at 13. Our developmental, we're sitting at 2, and our champions, we're sitting at 1. So technically, we are at 16 teams right now, the way we currently sit with all across the organization with all teams. That doesn't include the 2 that are fixing to split up before this is all said and done. But we're at 16 teams today, right now. Right, I pulled it up. So without that, you want the parks 2 days full access for your 6 teams. And you're expecting me, as my organization, to share 16 teams over 3 days. If the contract stays the exact same that it is now, it would force me and you to sit down and work out a schedule. When it comes to games, we've already had HOT reach out to us and say they can't, we have to have 1 contact. If the games get rained out, a random Tuesday game gets rained out, y'all don't know the schedule, we don't know the schedule to tell them when that game can be made up. HOC would like to talk to us directly on game schedules. So they already reached out and said that this is the way that they're gonna operate, is by talking to us and figuring out when games can be and all that. We are all under agreement that games are more important than practice. Right. So if that meant that we had to cancel practice for y'all to make up a game, or for us to make up a game, it needs to be where one person or one organization is making that call, and not me calling you, you calling the league, I'm calling my league and all that. That's what the purpose of this contract is.
Would it be a conflict of interest if it were a president that had that authority? Should it be an outside source?
It wouldn't be it would be my
Yeah.
baseball softball coordinator.
Because the HOT wasn't preaching us the same stuff that you were saying.
Well, I'm just saying that they reached out to my softball coordinator and had that conversation. So, at the end of the day, this is what this contract is here to establish. We have worked with other organizations in the past. We don't, as an organization, we can't tell nobody no, it's a city park. All the way the contract currently works and the way it would work was somebody would put a permit in, they would reach out to Chris would give them my cell phone number, ask us if we were using the park. If I wasn't using the park, or we couldn't, like we were using it for that day, then I would call Chris and I would talk to the person, say, I'm using it on Tuesday, I have 3 practices, but Wednesday we don't have anybody there. Then I would turn around and call Chris and say, hey, they wanna move it to Wednesday, they would finish the permit was a good thing, all that stuff, that was it. That's the only reason one person has priority over the fields.
But why would it be any different if you had 2 organizations? If they're asking for just the fields on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I think he's just asking for all fields on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but I don't think he necessarily has to have all fields on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
But as soon as it gets written on paper, that y'all have the fields on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then y'all decide that y'all aren't gonna be out there, we have to scramble our practices where Tuesdays and Thursdays aren't available because y'all have to.
Right, we could go the same way on our side.
It could go 100%.
I understand, I've thought about it, I put some thought
And
into
that's
that.
where
Right.
one organization has to be in control of everything, and then we, if we want to, we can sit down and have 2 members from y'all and 2 members from us to sit down and work out the schedule with each other and talk about it.
Which is what I asked for a month ago.
You've asked for a lot of stuff, but
Sorry.
so that's the whole point of this contract, for the ones that aren't involved, that don't understand. This contract was our contract last year, that we've already worked with some organizations and some stuff like that over the years. Our contract was up for renewal, the council was gonna vote on the renewal, and then this is where we are.
But prior to your contract, it was a contract with the WIA, which was the exact same situation.
I think we can all agree on though, that accessibility is there.
It's the same contract, yes. Yes, it's the same contract. But we had it last year, WA had it in the past, and even when there was 2 youth associations, one did baseball, we didn't touch baseball. We didn't cross sports. They had flag football, we had tackle football. They had soccer, we had volleyball. So at no point did the youth associations ever have to work together, we just stayed out of each other's lanes. And that's what it was. Half the year, the kids knew that they had to sign up for WIA, the other half, they knew they had to sign up for WWFL. We didn't have to communicate with 2 boards to try to share one park. Because we practiced at Baker, soccer was done at City Park, so we never had to work together.
Well, I'm
So-
pretty sure an agreement can be made between.
Right,
the 2
so, you got total teams, you said you were gonna have
16.
16 teams right now,
Say
right now.
16. Total teams, we'll chalk ours up right now and say interest bearing 6. Right? So we're looking at 26 teams. At one time, there was over 30 and no confrontation.
No, there was all kinds of competition. Want that question?
Take the podium and state your name and address.
Rachel Bryant, address 108 Warner Drive, Whitney. So the 30 teams they used to make, it was the WYA through TTA or whatever league we were in at the time, and then it was Texas Takeover practicing. They didn't have games. And currently TTA gets scheduled by Hillsborough, Pony gets scheduled by Cleveland. So Cleveland's gonna schedule whenever they want unless we have the calendar in place, which ours is 4 weeks ahead. They'll put the calendar in place, we can let TTA know, this is the calendar for Pony, when y'all's coming, March, April, whatever. But when all that was going on, the other organizations out there were just practicing, so there wasn't game interference, which means when games come up, other organizations can't have their practice, they have to move it, which is less of a deal compared to a game. So, that's all I'm gonna say on that.
Joe Bush, 135 Howard Street. I'm sorry, Main Street. Question, do you guys have a schedule set for your fields? Have they approved the fields, city fields yet, where you gonna play on?
Yeah, I'm talking about
Getting a
Tom.
no and a yes.
No, what are you asking?
What are you asking?
Have they approved you guys play home games?
They added our field to their field.
When was that taken?
When we joined the league.
When they joined? So you don't have a scheduled time that they're supposed to come out and survey the fields?
They're not coming out, so.
They're not? Okay. That was all I wanted to ask.
No, we are part of Cleveland's league, they're hosting home games here. So,
I have a question for Ms. Janice on the, real quick, on the net packet. What was the intent of the?
Mr. Chair, what was the question?
The intent,
For the permit for the WYS.
they had submitted it on 13th of January.
So that came to the city before this came to a head in the situation you're at here. So that's the next line item on the agenda. So we're actually kind of getting them crossed here. So the agenda on the up for action and tables or whatever is gonna happen with the recommendation right here is how that agreement needs to look going forward to the council. The next item, as you're asking, Mr. Chair, would be the submission of the other organization to use the fields. So that came about.
Thrown in the pack, I was just trying to make heads or tails because the decision was due on the 23rd of January, and then obviously whether.
That's correct. So the reason is, obviously this is something the park board would need to make a recommendation to the council whether to move forward with that application. But, the intent right here would be to get a recommendation from the council on the facility use agreement, with the organization. So that's kind of what the intent is.
Have we come up with a number for the 5013C?
Oh, okay.
I thought they were researching a number for this 5013C.
Oh, yeah, did you look at the start date?
January 9th.
January
9th.
January 8th?
9th.
9th, I apologize.
you have that number?
Yes.
The EIN? Yes. You know when you're ready.
Any other questions?
I'm ready.
41 dash
41 dash.
3511629.
So that's my only hangup on this personally. I mean, like I said, I don't have a dog in this fight. Unless you had that certificate in hand, not just, they'll go back and predate it. I mean, I think you guys have a great intent to do best for the kids of Whitney, but I just feel like looking at everything's coming at the last minute. I think it was the city council's intent to renew the contract with WWFL. I would recommend moving forward to renewing the contract, but I do have a question. I don't know if the city attorney would have to answer. Do they have to have a physical contract in writing to work with the WWFL? Now that we have an additional group, and it's not to say that you're not the only group that might come in. I think somebody did mention at the last meeting, there's also potential that another group could want to come in, but ultimately, I feel that next year would have been more perfect to work out all these little irons, because I feel like we're behind the 8 ball on this. And I'm not saying you're not doing a bad thing. I think you guys are doing an awesome thing. But it would be my recommendation to move forward to renew the WWFL's contract, and they have to work out that agreement as far as schedules and everything else that goes. I don't know a whole lot about all these little baseball leagues.
Mr. Chair, if I may, so the city attorney would probably not have a recommendation on that since it would be with the two associations.
What I'm saying is I don't know if a verbal contract flies in this day and age.
Right, so as I think what Mr. Threadgill and Mr. Upton were kind of alluding to earlier is, and Mr. Threadgill was kind of leading is, when in the past, historically, right, so this has only been something that the city has entered into for a couple of years now, as I mentioned before, whoever had first priority use, as Mr. Redfield had worked out through Chris and with, whatever, they organized who was able to use the fields when. So, yes, it would be a handshake agreement essentially at this point, unless the park board recommended to the council to change the language of this agreement. To Mr. Redfield's point, the reason this was worked out between an association at that point in time was WYA, which then turned into WWFL, was because they needed something from the city to say, we're gonna invest all this money into the park, we wanna know who's responsible for what. So those associations have kind of put that under this agreement, if that makes sense, field maintenance and investments and such. So, in the past, and again, this is kind of how it's worked in the past, is other associations or organizations rather, because this is the first time we've kind of been in this situation, would work that out through the prevailing organization that had the agreement with the city, whether that be WYA, WWFL, and now here. So that's kind of how that's worked, just historically.
So there is a contract that the organization signs with the city that specifically states that they have to coordinate with other groups?
No, that is not, the language is not in there that says that.
Can
The
it be
language-
changed?
That's definitely something that could be recommended to the council.
Would, all these dumb questions.
No, you and me both,
Would-
because I don't know.
I mean, if you got a second group
History
that's
of it.
working up under the WFL insurance requirement, would they still have to carry?
Yeah, so
The same.
that's a legitimate.
I would think you would
request.
have to have a binding contract then, not just a
Right.
handshake.
Sure, yeah, and that's a great point, because, something else is, and this was kind of a question brought to me, was if this agreement is made between, say, the WWFL or WIS, for whomever, would they be able to sublease the park? No, absolutely not. Sublease, they don't have the authority under this agreement to lease the park, meaning you can't charge, that authority is not written into this agreement. Sublease would have to be a looser term to say co-use or something like that. So I'm not an attorney, but I would say that the language could be made such that there could be a line in this agreement that says something along those lines, that said other organizations could use field as long as said requirements are met, insurance, and coordinated through first priority use organization.
That would be almost necessity in my mind.
And again, it's however the board would recommend to the council. So this is why it's up for discussion, right? This is obviously not an easy thing for the first meeting for you guys to have to determine, but, welcome, it's a lonely place.
Well, it's common sense that you would have someone in charge, but they have to be in charge with stipulations since there are other groups. And since I'm new at this and don't have, whoever said skin in the game, I think you said that, I don't have kids or grandkids that play, but everybody needs the opportunity to play. But I don't understand why there's so many different groups, why they can't all play under one umbrella. That's my confusion at this point, other than what I'm hearing is there's some that he said softball, he doesn't touch baseball, or, so that would be a necessity for other groups. But if you're gonna have one umbrella, that person has to be, there has to be a requirement that they play well in the sandbox, so to speak.
And that's not just baseball, correct? That's soccer?
Right now, we only host one sport together.
Right.
So as long as they stay at baseball and they don't open up soccer registration, volleyball registration, all that, we could only deal with each other for 3 months out of the year, 4 months out of the year. We offer all the other sports. Right now, they currently only offer baseball. and
Gotcha,
softball.
okay, so it's only for one sport, okay.
So that's, as president again, it's one of those things that they are only winning the fields for 3 months, 4 months out of the year. We would occupy City Park for soccer, flag football, all that stuff throughout the rest of the year.
Do you have those sports that want to come to you and you
We
field
already
also?
offer it. We already offer golf. We offer football, tackle football, flag football, golf, soccer, softball, baseball, volleyball, basketball.
But are there
Track.
other organizations, youth groups that come to you like this situation? No, you have total monopoly on that, okay, gotcha. So,
I do have one more question, y'all have bylaws?
Sorry?
Y'all have bylaws?
We do. And so, a little bit of that too is the
Produce bylaws?
association.
Hey, so I have a question. Can you produce bylaws if we ask one?
Yeah, we got it. Yes, sir.
Ms. Alden?
Okay, no, not a problem. But a little bit to touch on that was that the organization is so new, and so once the organization gets going, we can't really speak on how many parents are gonna say, hey, are we gonna do this sport, are we gonna do that sport? You know, now there's some of them that we just can't do right now, there's a lot that gets these things going, and so reaching in every single sport right now, is just not really possible just yet, so.
why would a child sign, this is maybe, I'm going with him, this could be a stupid question, but why would a child sign up with your group instead of his group if you offered the same?
Well, again, it's not really so much a group versus group, it's just their scheduling may be different, and some of the parents can't adhere to that scheduling. Or even cost reasons, sometimes these families can't afford cost reasons.
Their price is different than the WWF's price.
And they play in different places.
Yeah, matter of fact, we put a post out today offering, if you can afford it, please reach out. It's for every kid, you know, I mean, I'm not saying anybody else is it, that's not my.
No, because you can do fundraising, sponsoring.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct, and we can get these kids involved that normally wouldn't be involved simply because it's small reasons, whether it be financial, schedule, and such like that. That's kind of typically why there would be two different.
So if you say you signed a contract for a year, what are your plans for all the other sports? Just baseball and you're done?
Well, so again, I can't really speak on that because until the program gets going, you don't know how many parents are gonna be like, hey, this is going really well, man, let's try this, you know? And so I couldn't really speak on that. Would I be willing? I would be willing, but only in particular sports right now because it does take a lot to get these things going on. For example, football. There's a lot behind that football program that a lot of people don't know. And so for a brand new organization to come in and say, hey, we're gonna start a football program. You know, at that point even I would be like, good luck, you know? But not saying it can't be done, just saying it's gonna be a hard task to pull off, you know, something like that. And so therefore, we wouldn't require the fields as long throughout the year. Does that make sense? Does that kind of answer where? Yeah.
And it is my understanding from talking to HOT and TTA that they would only schedule games for the WYA, or WYS, excuse me, on Tuesdays and Thursdays. They would have that, and I have spoken to the registrar for HOT League and TTA. They would only schedule the games for the WYS on Tuesdays and Thursdays. In the event of a rain out, it may make their season have to go a week longer because those are the only availability that they would have to use for those games. Would be on Tuesdays and Thursdays. WFL would have it on Mondays, Wednesdays. They don't play on Saturdays or Sundays unless it's a rain. They don't play on Sundays, period, either way.
Yeah,
And they try not to do it on Wednesdays unless it's rain out and it gets towards the end of the season. Both leagues are the same on that.
Can I see?
This one? Does Janice have the?
I'm Amanda, I'm the treasurer with WWFL at the 152 Women's Drive here in Whitney. The concern that I have that they would only schedule games on Tuesdays and Thursdays is, as they stated, you've only got 5 or 6 teams versus we have 16. So you would be asked, and most people, we don't play on Wednesdays because it interferes with church. It's one of the reasons why there was a conflict here today. So if you're really only saying that we're gonna play games during the week, because that's what both organizations do, and you only do Monday and Friday left for the rest of the 16 teams and our organization, then if you take the field for that whole time for 16, then you're really doing a disservice for those other ones who now have that. So when you only pick 2 days, and you're saying these are the only 2 days, it sounds good in theory. Whenever you say, oh, it's only 2 days out of 7 days. But most people don't want to do stuff on Sundays, and we don't want to do anything on Sunday until tournaments happen later on in the season. Sunday sometimes they do like optional practices, but that one isn't the one that necessarily either of us would count. because most people don't wanna play on Sunday. Same thing with Wednesday. Some coaches do that, some of them have it there, but then you still have those other days. So if you're saying, I wanna monopolize Tuesday to Thursday for 6 teams, there's 5 fields. And so you're taking away 5 fields from 16 teams on another side. So it all kind of stems down to having one person in charge to work on scheduling. You're saying there's 130 options, but I don't know what that 130 is based off of. I don't know if you're choosing 1 hour long terms or 90-minute long terms or anything else. Some practices go for 90. Sometimes we don't start until 5:30 because of work schedule. Sometimes you can't choose Saturdays because you have all these other things going on.
6 to 9.
But, you know, some of these you don't want those kids out to be until 9 anyway. So it all kind of comes down to, you know, we have to make sure that we're accommodating everybody and making sure that, you know, some days stay kind of off. We don't typically do Wednesdays because of church. We don't typically do Sundays because of church. So we want to make sure that those things are recognized and honored. We do have 16 teams compared to 6. So taking away 2 days, you're still only taking 4 days, and you're splitting it a little askew between 16 versus 6. But, I have to ask, I'm sorry, I looked up the number that you gave, I didn't see it. What name are y'all under? What EIN are you using?
It's the WIS, correct?
Whitney Sports and the EIN. I already listed it out.
I'm only asking because I looked it up on the Secretary of State and I didn't see it, so I wasn't sure what organization we would be working with.
Whitney Sports, do you want the number?
I had the number, but I didn't see it.
There's a print off of it.
Okay.
So would WYS be willing to only use 2 fields on Tuesdays and Thursdays instead of the entire park? Would that be doable for you since, again, since you have 6 teams and you have 16? Would that be something you would be able to do?
So I've asked, I've talked to some of the members of the Pony League Association. I was asking about, you know, kind of like, and not your particular organization, Mr. Gradfield, but the surrounding communities and towns. And typically they don't play on Fridays. And so I did, however, say, hey, I was, with the flexibility part of it, I was willing to say, hey, look, I tell you what, to accommodate, to help make things even better for you guys and everyone involved, is if we can take, say, like the Tuesday and Friday, because a lot of the pony leagues don't play on Friday because that's their prep day. They prep their fields for incoming tournaments. And so that would even eliminate one more day of the week that you guys would require, you know, for the practice that you're referring to. You know, that would help a lot. And I would be more than willing, graciously willing, you know, to help make all this work together for everybody. So.
Just to reiterate, a question, you guys are only just dealing with baseball and that's it, right?
As now, yes, sir. Correct.
That kind of red flags me, I'm not saying bad about you, but then what about all the other sports that, does the WWFL take care of the fields for football, soccer, throughout the year, that contract?
Well, the city park is the only one we're talking about, right?
You know, which we maintain, so it's like 2 months out of the year.
I'm just saying, football isn't hosted at the city park, soccer isn't
Soccer
hosted
and flag
at the
football is.
city park. On those fields or on the soccer field?
On soccer field, but we still maintain the whole park, for 2 months out of the year. I feel like, I think y'all could do it with December.
Pretty much whenever we can, but that's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Depends on our schedule more than anything.
I mean, that's something that plays into my decision, you know, somebody that's not just looking after, and I'm gonna be wrong, I know y'all love baseball, but you know, the other groups don't wanna be second, you know, down the line. Hey, baseball season, everything's maintained really well, and all of a sudden you get a crappy football field, or I don't know what the soccer fields look like, you know, when it gets to that season.
Now, we do stop dragging the fields, we don't keep them, I guess, game shape ready, as far as that goes, that's something we usually do like a month into the season, like for practice, so mowing and everything, no, we help mow, do all that stuff throughout the whole year, take care of the buildings and all that. but we don't grant the fields 9 months out of the year.
Do y'all just do practices for soccer? And I don't know, because.
That's what right now, yes.
Because the games are played in Hillsborough, correct?
No.
Clifton this year.
Mr. Chair, if I may, one of the reasons, again, I want to go back to the reason that we as a city wanted to even ask for an agreement to be determined between an association and the city was to absolutely delineate those roles as to who would be doing maintenance. Because that was always a point of contention. The city wasn't doing, or the youth association wasn't doing, and so we came to the table to try to get this agreement in writing as to who would be responsible for what and what time frame. So just a little background for the board's information there. That is a purpose of this agreement. Whoever it's made out with, just for your information, just the background knowledge is who does what and why, and that's kind of what this agreement does.
So if both associations use the field, then why would both associations not be responsible for the maintenance?
I'm sorry?
If both associations are gonna use the fields, then in my opinion, both associations would be responsible for the maintenance.
So I think what the question then becomes, right, and having done this for a while, and it's kind of to what Mr. Gregory was alluding to earlier, is how do we as a city, okay, if we don't have an agreement with a organization, or however the agreement is written, holds that party responsible, right? Or if one of them has responsibility, who's gonna do what when?
Well, that would be something the presidents of the organizations would have to work out.
There you go. I think that's what we've all kind of come down to here. Is we
But
gotta
it
figure
needs to
out
be in the contract with the city that whoever the contract is with is ultimately responsible, and then if they wanna sub it out to the other team and say, I need your help, but whoever, that contract with the city has to be very specific.
Well,
And have one person responsible, one team, one group, one person, I would say.
well, so again, it gives it to one organization as it's currently written.
Exactly. That's what, yeah.
Doesn't delineate to one person.
Well, that's what I meant, one group.
Yeah, it's one group as it's currently written. In its
Yeah.
current form, this agreement is between the city and the WWFL.
Yeah.
Right, they would be the prime contractor.
Yes, and ethically, it should be whoever is playing can help and contribute, but it's gotta be written where the one group is responsible.
I feel that every additional group that comes in should have a binding contract with the prime.
So you're saying the WYS needs to have a contract with the WWFL?
If that's how it's gonna play out, yes. Not just a handshake or my good word. I'd want some, I would think our attorney would want something in writing.
In addition to the paperwork that's required?
In addition to the contract that we currently have, correct?
You
They
want
have
to
that
I'm
verbiage.
sorry.
You could amend the contract.
Amend it,
You could amend the contract where WWL gets first priority, and then list them as second priority on, and make, like, worded in a way where it would force them to come together, but WWFL is still the primary,
Right, you would be ultimately in charge.
the ultimate
if you have the
deal to
contract.
work out everything to come back to like it was this year where we call Chris and say, this is the day, this is what's going on, all that stuff. It's just one main form of contact.
If an additional group decided to bail, it would still fall under the prime to take care of the requirements of the contract.
Can we get a copy of that agreement?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sorry there wasn't one in your packet. That's why I pulled it up on the here yeah, we can absolutely get it to you
Do
guys.
you have a copy of it?
So 12 page, it's online.
Yeah.
It is a
How long would it take to get it, if we amended, yeah?
So, again, we would need to make a recommendation to the council to do that. Kind of hoping to do that tomorrow. We could have, if the council voted on that amendment and approved it, it could be done tomorrow verbally. And then, we can, get it written after that. So typically, the city attorney has when it comes to contracts, is a 10 business day turnaround. But if it's something that I can word myself, I'm not a lawyer, but Chatty Cathy, she's a good friend of mine, otherwise known as Chat GPT. We can get something worked out and sent to the attorney for quick review.
So why would the contract, I'm just asking because I'm not in the contract. why would the contract not be written for both youth youth organizations, I'm sorry, it's gonna go wrong there. Youth organizations in that contract, well, with one primary contract being the primary contract, but the contract would be for both youth organizations.
So I think something that needs to be considered here is, in the grand scheme of things, okay, and this is just as a devil's advocate, right? It's kind of my job to foresee what happens in the future. I try to think 2 moves ahead. What happens when there's a third association that pops up? And then they come, and so what happens when there's a fourth? Because somebody gets angry and wants to create another, or whatever the situation, whatever happens, right? We've already experienced that in this town multiple times. So, I
I'm
think.
gonna add, that is so true.
Yep.
That last year was awesome with the baseball.
Yes, it was.
So I just wanna make sure that everybody understands, like, if we need to have an agreement between the city and whomever that not only addresses now, but what could happen in that time frame of the term of said agreement, right? So, to say that we're going to say, we can go through and say, McDonald's, Burger King, and everybody as subs, but then what happens when Wendy's comes in? So it's hard to write an agreement to say, now, we have two, again, right now, in here. We're all trying to work this out. What happens when that third one comes? Not to say it will, but then now the city is now in another bad position of trying to iron these details out. So, I think the board's decision will have to be framed around how you want that to look in the future. Now.
Question in the back?
Yes, sir. What exactly would be in place? I can talk loud enough, everybody.
Name, address?
What would be in place to keep?
What's your name?
Joe Bush, I spoke to you a second ago. What would be in place, or what amendment would be in place to assure one association or the other that they would play fair, be fair with scheduling and whatnot, that they wouldn't be shut out completely?
That would be an attorney question. I would think it would be a binding agreement.
Binding agreement. I mean, the precedence of having first come, first serve, or they have precedence over everyone else. Who's to say that they're not gonna be enforced? Who's gonna write that? Who's gonna put that into this amendment saying that they're gonna share, they're gonna be nice, even though it is only 16 so far? How do we guarantee that they're gonna be even able to play on the fields?
Right,
I mean,
if I ask this gentleman, he's gonna tell me he's gonna play fair. That's his word. I don't know him from Adam.
She gets to know. So, if you say something and you say that you're gonna do that, and then it doesn't happen, who's gonna regulate that? Who's gonna enforce that? The mayor or the board or city council? Who's gonna hold them to a higher standard?
It's a good question. I wouldn't know how to look at it and go, yeah, what he's saying is fair, 'cause not being a baseball person, other than going to the game,
Okay.
I couldn't give you an answer on that, to be honest.
Okay.
I would think we would, I would hope we would have somebody impartial that could look at the schedule and go, yeah, that's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
I'm not really, just scanning this, I'm not really seeing anything that says, that addresses working with another group.
Right.
Well, because there wasn't
There wasn't an
Right.
additional group.
So yeah, I would think that would be, and you can't say they, I mean, you have to assume they're gonna play fair and all
We
that,
have played fair with other organizations in this town. We worked out plenty of deals and had the select team that they had practice indoor facilities with uses Frankie Rose. The two coaches came up to us and worked out a deal. So we've had numerous other organizations work out stuff with us. And it's not money, it's not a savings, it's just, if you're gonna use the field, help us with the maintenance. And they mow it, or whatever, so it takes workload off all of our volunteers to go up there and have to take care of that field. If they're gonna use it, they take care of it.
I don't think that's an issue, is it?
No, I've never presented an issue with, having more than enough equipment and or labor to be out there, to do anything. Without trying to be boasting or gloating or however you wanna phrase it, literally, we have enough equipment and labor to go out there and redo the entire facility. You know, and I've offered multiple occasions, and the offer still stands, so.
I have a question. Did y'all get this piece of paper in y'all's packet?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Where did this piece of paper come from?
No idea, but it had your driver's license on it.
Okay, well, I'm a little bothered by this because we're all grown adults and we're supposed to be working together for the kids. But yet this says, please don't let this fool you. This group is not affiliated with WWFL or any Whitney youth in any way. These individuals have chosen to start their own select program independently. It's disappointing to see certain people continue to spread negativity and division when so many of us have worked so hard to build unity and positive environment for our kids. They didn't start an independent select program. Theirs is a youth program just as if WWFL is. So their group is not a select group. It is a regular group of regular individual players, just as WWFL is.
I have no idea how that got in there.
Well, it was posted by one of their board members
How
on
did
Facebook.
it end up in the packet?
I don't know, it was in my packet.
It was in my packet
In the
too.
packet, and I picked it up.
So I got the
I
packet.
didn't read all that, I just assumed it was an advertisement for you.
That's what I was asking. It was in the packet.
It was attached to your
Well,
permit.
I didn't.
It's in the public council packet too.
But I'm just saying, it was with your program, so I assumed it had something to do with y'all.
I think we have enough information, we all come together for a recommendation to the.
I got something to say. My name is Joe Corson from 818-3050. I just looked up online to see if EIN has a nonprofit organization. It does not. Amy Teal just looked it up too. She's a council member for the city of Whitney. They do not. They may have paperwork, it may say something, but who's to say what's true? Online, it don't say nothing. These board members, these couple board members have been on WWFL board. They chose to leave. This gentleman right here has never lived here except recently. He has no idea what's going on in this community. He's getting put to the wolves. And her and Joe Bush are the ones that's doing it. I don't know this young lady.
You're speaking out of turn, bro.
I'm not.
You are.
I'm not.
You're sitting here with bald face lying to these people.
They have been a part of this board.
This conversation is.
They have been a part of this board, and they
Nobody came
chose
up
to
here and
left.
said they're anyone.
No, they have chose to left.
This is over. Both of you. Take your seat. We have enough information for the
All right,
board to
thank you.
make their decision or recommendation.
I still stay with my first proposal. I think WYS or WYS. I feel they have great intentions. I just feel that they're not prepared to take on the additional sports outside of baseball for this one-year contract. Not saying that you couldn't, but I feel that you're not prepared to take it on because you don't know what needs to come additionally after baseball season's over. It's not just baseball that we're looking at for the kids of this community. So it's my motion, or recommendation, I'm sorry. I guess we'll propose it for council tomorrow to move forward with renewing WWL's contract with the stipulation that the attorney has to, I guess, put her input in for an amendment as far as making an agreement with not just the WYS's coming aboard, but any additional, like you were talking about earlier, Mr. Cribble. You know, A, B, C, there might be additional groups outside of WYS that might wanna come in. You know, and we have to be prepared to amend the contract to bring them in. So it'd be my recommendation to the attorney that we have to put some kind of amendment where they have a contract with the city. I don't know if it has to be with the city or it has to be with the prime contractor, that I don't know. I would think it would have to be with the city, because they have to meet the city's requirements as far as certain things. But as how detailed that has to be, I don't know what the attorney would require to make that more than just a handshake. And I think the two teams or additional teams that can come to this, I think they can be cordial enough to work something out. I don't know how we would go about, looking at a schedule to say, yes, this is fair, in the interest of your good question, that, you know, how do I know he's not trying to jilt them on, you know, of course they have the primary choice of dates, but it needs to be in all fairness to any additional groups that come after that, and that I'm not ready to answer who would make that assessment on the schedule.
So to be clear, there's a motion on the table to move forward with the agreement between the city and the WWFL with the stipulation that the city attorney comes up with an amendment that any other organizations that will utilize the field has to have a signed agreement with the city.
Yes.
Or amendment to work, force, you pretty much force WWFL to work with some, what you said. I think that's more or less.
Well, do they have to have a contract with the city, or just have an amendment to your contract that says that you have to work with them and they have to share maintenance?
I think, well, they wanna have something in their, some kind of stipulation, if they feel like we're not working with them, they can come back and bring it to the city's attention that, hey, this is what they're supposed to do, this is not what they're meeting.
So there needs to be a grievance clause.
Agreement clause that.
A grievance clause, when this happens, this needs to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so they have a motion and a second on that.
Those in favor? Those in favor of this motion? Raise your hand. Put down. Now, this goes back to the original question, if we have a tie.
If you make the motion, so you have a vote.
You have a vote as well, Chair.
Okay, I'm in favor of it.
The motion carries.
Number 12. All right, deliberate and possible action on a recommendation to the city council concerning a field use permit submitted by Whitney Youth Sports for the use of Frankie Rose Field on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from February 9th of 26 through June 26, 2026.
And board, again, this was just something that we had to bring to you to determine what we were gonna do. This was put in as a special, and let me be clear, the reason that the city would ask the board to take action on this was because we had an agreement with the youth association. Had we had signed off on this permit, then we would have been kind of reneging on our first priority use. So that's why we bring it to the board for recommendation to the council on how you wanted to proceed with this. I think based off all the discussion that just happened, we kind of mixed 11 and 12 in the same conversation here. So, it's gonna be, kind of at the board's discretion whether to, how to handle that, to recommend to the council, a good course of action.
I feel like 12 is null and void now because we pretty much stated that we're gonna renew the contract and put stipulations where they have to work together.
there be any consideration of maybe having somebody who didn't, represent both youth organizations to kind of be a mediator as far as, being over the fair usage per se?
I think that's more our city liaison.
I'm sorry.
That's the city
That's the
liaison.
city liaison. Both associations will have to submit our schedule to him. That's what's in the contract.
Okay, that's all.
So,
Thank you.
pretty much to sum it up, we will have to come together
Yeah, yeah.
and agree on a
Oh,
schedule.
love it.
And then we have to take that said schedule to him and go from there.
So Chris would be the one determining whether it was fair, or?
I'll look at it, and if there's any real questions, I can always bring them back. Bring them up with first board again.
So I think what we can do is just to be clear, and again, we're kind of mixing the 11 and 12, we already took action on 11. But in that grievance clause that we said, we can write it in as this is your first level contact, second level contact comes back to the board. The reason that we ask the associations as a city to provide said schedules is because, we also have folks that wanna host softball tournaments and things like that. So that's, we have the schedules on the books. Then again, Chris has that schedule, the city has that schedule, and Chris can coordinate with whoever in the past, either WYA or WWFL, to say, hey, they wanna have a softball tournament, are you using the fields? You know, we already have your schedule, do you have a problem with the fields? You know, so it kinda works out, right? A lot of people wanna have fundraisers for softball tournaments and such, so that's kind of what that is.
I guess I would say with this motion carry to make this null and void, number 12.
Second.
All in favor?
You'll have to better form this time.
And what else I have,
Motion carried.
I motion carries. Item number 13, deliberate and possible action on a recommendation to the city council concerning a special events permit for the Whitney Wildcat Football League for an opening day event at City Park on February 28th, 2026.
Again, Chair, Board, this is something that you're gonna start seeing coming from the city, or special events permits when it has to do with parks and recreation. Amanda, would you like to speak on this?
Yeah, sure.
You're the one that submitted the special events application to the board. I didn't put you on the spot.
You're fine. Every year, as to open up our season, we do an opening day. Last year, we went pretty big and did, bounce houses, we did a tournament, we had special, like events that we did, and we had like food trucks and everybody else. We cleaned up afterwards, there wasn't any issues, we just kind of let everybody know that it was on notice, so that there was increased, like police in the area. They weren't on call or anything else, it was just to kind of make sure that everybody was, there, since it is a large group of people. Last year, we probably had 350 people more, throughout the day at one given time as they came and went, so we hosted and other things too. But we didn't get anything from the city, like cleanup, we did all that, and we used all of our own concession food and everything else. So we're just doing it again this year.
Thank you.
I guess my only question on that is, with additional parties, is it a requirement? I would think they would participate in that, but is it a requirement that they participate on that day?
Talking about them?
Right. Any
I'm
additional
assuming
groups?
that they'll host an opening day for them.
Different day.
Different day. Our seasons are off by like 4 weeks, 5 weeks.
This
So
is just-
this is just for us and our opponent right before our season starts. I'm assuming that they'll do one. I don't know what they will do, but usually a pretty common deal where every association will have some kind of an opening day parade or tournament or just something out the ballpark.
Parents are there. And I assume you'll propose, you'll put in for a special permit eventually for a day?
Yes, sir, we will. We'll.
I don't have no objection with it.
I make a motion that the city council grants the special event permit for the Whitney Wildcat football league for their opening day event on February 28th.
I do have a question, just because we got brought up today. Can we change the date, or is it too late?
Change the date,
Saturday.
Well, this is, February 28th. Our season got pushed back a week, so we're looking for March 7th. But we didn't know if we would have to file a new one.
Just, if the board so desires and approves, the city has no objection to it, as far as that goes, but I would recommend to go ahead and make the amendment to the special events permit as it sits tonight, before it gets submitted to the council for approval tomorrow night. So, there is an actual motion on the table, so.
Okay, then I'll motion to grant them their permit for their opening day event on March 7th, 2026.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item number 14, adjourn. Do you have page 13?
She literally asked for it though. I approve of that message. You don't pay with food. My husband will be like, what happened to your meeting? Well, I got hit with a burger. No, we got it. McDonald's already too full. Give it to your dog. Girl, what? I'm still eating the hell out of this. It's here, take it. It was in the floor. I got it. Take the apple pie and fries first.
Baseball guys screwed it all up.
Apple pies, man.
We need to walk around and they're telling us,
I don't know if I freeze it or if it's like a burn on my teeth or something.
I hit the aerator going to the center.
You said every line I have. Oh, we made a.
All my digging, well, no, I got the left, I finally got the section.
You better.
That's why I'm gonna stay this way.
Very much.
But it's not tempting. I did mileage.
Trying to set. Good.
No, I did mileage line enough to take out stuff. Very electrical line 10 years ago. Very electrical lines here. First two.
So when it comes
It's always easy.
to, and again,
Yeah.
Board is,
Okay, well, everybody can agree, I'm glad you got to see what we're about.
No, yeah.
Great, so sorry, everybody that This year, you show up.
so, for going forward, the secretary of the board. That was the council's intent to do that. I don't know if it's.
I have one more.
Warm now.